Hi, besties. This is such an exciting day. This is my first commentary video. That's right, because TikTok is about to, I think I'm gonna make it a thing that we have a NA beverage while we do this. This is the Samuel Adams, Just the Haze IPA. Normally not a fan of IPA. I don't like to chew my beer, but I'm hoping it just makes it taste more real. That's just fucking miserable. Let's get started. In case you didn't know this about me, I'm a filmmaker. That's what I do. I make movies. So I thought that that is what we would start with, commentary-wise. Commentary-wise, I think will probably be all across the board, but I really wanted to talk about something specific to start. There's a lot of like really... There's like a lot happening in the film world today. It's a crazy time to be a filmmaker. It's always a great time to be a filmmaker, but it's like a very particularly wild time. I just saw a complete unknown... Can't get into that. Different video. But wow. Just incredible. Absolutely just incredible. However, the movie that literally blew me away this year in theaters, that part's important. Gladiator II. It feels weird even just to say it. It did something to me. There are so many striking performances in the film, but obviously I think Denzel takes the cake. We're gonna get into that later. But I had to ask myself, like, why is this movie so good? Why is it, dare I say, more compelling than the original Gladiator, you know? Like, that's kind of blasphemous. Everyone, myself included, loves the original Gladiator, you know, but it didn't change my world. I mean, what's not to love, right? That whole genre of like homoerotic Roman medieval, I know it's not medieval, but it's my video, time frame is, it's definitely like a point of the 2000s, you know, like Troy, 300, Immortals, and the original Gladiator. There's more, but those are my favorites. It reminds me of like watching movies with my big brothers. Like I love those movies so much. It's Gordy on the bed. I thought there was an intruder. And you know, watching movies with my brothers is like my favorite thing in the whole entire world, and it's a big reason why I make movies today. So as you can imagine, I was pretty excited to see this in theaters. I was pretty excited to see what we were twerking with. There's something about Gladiator 2 that's just like different. It's just exactly what it is. And I was trying to figure out what that was. There's like always this common topic of like what couldn't be made today because we as a society have, I don't know, stopped trying to be racist. The argument's always hysterical to me. I'm like, some big ones you'll see are like The Office or, I mean, any of Nick's early repertoire and any of MTV's early repertoire. I mean, like, it wouldn't happen today. And where is the line between art and the artist? There's just a lot of pedophiles in the entertainment industry also, which is unfortunate, but stay with me. Rarely do we talk about the movies that couldn't be made then. And there were some that we had to hear about, like, forever. Like, I was 10 when the original Avatar came out, and it was, like, the biggest deal to everybody because it's, I think the lore was, like, it had to be made in 10 years or something. Like it took 10 years to make. I don't know. I understand that it was like revolutionary for its time or whatever, but like that is something that AI could make in 20 seconds today. You know what I mean? It didn't stand the test of time. Remarkable, sure, but like I also have a bone to pick with James Cameron, so whatever. Just stick to your boat movies. It's precisely my point that you know, those films are out there that would not be at all difficult to make in today's ever-expanding technological society. Where you fall on the pro versus anti-AI in the entertainment industry, where you fall in the pro versus anti-AI in the entertainment industry argument, I think that's deeply personal. You know what I mean? That's your opinion. Normally I sway to the latter, but films like Gladiator have proven to me that there is a future for cinema and AI to be interwoven in a healthy manner that does not totally rob us of our morals and creativity and just take jobs from my friends. Now, if you know anything about Ridley Scott, the man knows his AI. Looking at possibly, I wouldn't say his biggest film, but fan favorite, Blade Runner, Scott argues that replicants are technically more advanced than AI. Like, he's come out and said this since AI made such a, big whatever resurgence or surgence, because it was the first surgence. I'm not really sure. He was interviewed kind of frequently when all of the AI stuff started coming out. He mentions that they are superior to AI because they are actually more human than humans, which defies the Uncanny Valley, trove that you can get lost in. If you don't know what the Uncanny Valley is, I'll put that video here. But it's kind of like the biggest thing that AI deals with, and being human or relatable is kind of that issue. We see Scott play again with AI and kind of reimagine that terror in Alien Covenant with the AI character named Walter. What the fuck does this have to do with Gladiator II? Is this girl gonna get to the point? Again, it's my video. So the rhino scene, if you haven't seen Gladiator 2, maybe you shouldn't be watching this. I don't know why you clicked on the video. But anyways, there's the scene where the gladiator slaves have to fight this man on this giant rhino. Ridley Scott said that AI allowed him to actually cut out a rhino, 3D print this rhino, cut it out, cut it up into pieces, and see like what he wanted to make it look like. And then he made that into a robot that would be helped along with CGI on the set that would then become the beast in the film. I think that that's really cool. There have been some issues relating to the way he shot coverage. Like I've heard that he's kind of in the weeds with his cinematographer because he wasn't really about multiple takes. He was trying to get everything kind of quickly. If you don't care about film, you probably won't care about that. But it's definitely not a great thing, and I can imagine to an actor it would just make you want to end it all. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, which is Mr. Denzel. Denzel's character is a businessman. He's an arms dealer, and he specializes in raising gladiators for the arena. His whole thing is entertaining the two emperors. So his character is very loosely based on a man with the same name. The real guy was actually a lawyer in Rome, but he didn't have anything to do with gladiators. So other than his name, for the most part, it's completely fabricated, but that's okay. Okay. Something that's really cool about Denzel's character is that he's openly bi. So Denzel has just said that the character was written as such, which is kind of a big deal. So I thought, right? I mean, a big deal in the lens of like I said, the homoerotic films of the 2000s, like Troy and 300 and the original Gladiator. These men were naked at all times, but I am highly doubtful that there would have been any allowance of gayness, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's a pretty cool step, and it's also a cool step for a huge actor like Denzel to, when I say step, I mean a step that should have been taken a long time ago. But it got me to thinking, right? Begs the question, was this acceptable in Roman culture? Now, I had heard this, and there's that saying go with the Romans or as the Romans did. There's something about it. It's similar to if it what happens in Vegas. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be kind of
salacious.
It's never been my favorite history, so I never kind of deep dove into it. My Roman Empire is 1900s to present. Quiz me. But his character is consistently making comments about enjoying both male and female people, and he makes these comments and then they don't have any weight, which is basically to say that his character is not just gay to be gay. That's not the purpose of his character, which is a big deal also. Level of progressiveness, and this level of progressiveness in a society that still is okay with public torture and death is mind-boggling to me. Now, obviously, societies are different and blah, 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 blah. So was this okay? The answer is yes and no. Roman society was deeply patriarchal, which basically, I mean, we live in a patriarchy as well. It just means like the men are in charge. And the family unit is kind of revolved around the man, so to speak, right? The paterfamilias, which are the head of household, so those are the dudes, freeborn male citizens enjoyed basically political liberty. They had the right to govern both themselves and their families, and this virtue was considered an active quality through which a man defined himself, encompassing ideas as like ideals, courage, strength, etc. Moral integrity, often demonstrated in, public military life or in the arena. Roman attitudes towards same-sex relations were a little different. So they were shaped by their conquest mentality and hierarchical, doesn't sound like it's gonna happen for me. That word, social structure, rather than modern notions of like what is right and wrong, or even sexual orientation. So basically what that means is that men could engage in sexual relations with other males without a loss of masculinity. So they didn't tie being gay to a change in how you were viewed. They didn't tie it to being any less of a man, which is true. It's just another person you're having sex with. Something we've not yet grasped. You can just have sex with anybody you want and be with them. It has nothing to do with you being a man. Whatever the fuck that means. As long as they were the dominative or penetrative party, they wouldn't lose their masculinity. So there was still some, and who knows how that has really truly crafted the narrative of, top and bottom culture today, but please let me know your thoughts. But that was a thing. Like, you had to be that person in the sexual relationship in order to remain in your masculine, I suppose. And the reason is because if you were the dominant or the penetrative party, that aligned just more closer with their power status and their roles, because you were still like taking control of a partner. Acceptable partners were slaves, freedmen, prostitutes, and entertainers. So groups associated with a legal and social status of dishonor. So it wasn't like you could just go have sex with any guy. You could, but it wouldn't be considered the same moral okayness, Those in this realm of infamia were excluded from legal protections that were afforded to freeborn citizens, even if they were technically free. So basically, like, sex workers and entertainers and slaves, they didn't have any, they weren't protected by the government whatsoever, which makes sense. We've never treated those groups of people well. Now, freeborn male minors were considered off limits for sexual relationships, particularly during certain periods of Roman history. Laws as the Lex Scantinia sought to protect them from exploitation, though societal enforcement of these norms kind of varied. So it kind of depended where you were, which I also think is very interesting. I'm like, okay, church and state. I just find it so interesting to see how we did things then. So the Roman emphasis on the hierarchy of like male power was viewed through the lens of social status and dominance rather than mutual affection or equality. Basically, that just sums up to say, like, yeah, you could be gay, but you would be taking advantage of a person kind of not as high up as you in society. So I'll let you sit with that. See how you feel about it. Definitely isn't a good feeling, but let's get back to Denzel. So Denzel said that there was an on-screen kiss that was cut from the film, and this has been like a widely debated kind of like article Pornhub, because he claims that it was cut, but Ridley Scott claims that it never happened on camera. I'm loving it. I'm like, give it to us, cowards. All of this to say, this film has vulnerability in all of its major roles. Pedro, my God. And like the way Denzel is acting out his character is so openly flamboyant, and those are just not mannerisms you see in these homoerotic movies. Like, it's so fucking incredible. Made me very proud to be a filmmaker today. Do I think that that would have been possible 25 years ago? Absolutely not.